Hi, I'm Danya,
And I'm Shawheen.
and you're listening to and watching
Reality Woo Woo.
It's Not Something to Believe in.
It's something to talk about.
And in today's episode, we're chatting about our fun friends Sagittarians and their most compatible love matches. That's a good one for us, I
Those
think.
wild childs, those
Truly.
centaurs running
The
around
commitment
with their
phobes.
bows.
We're talking about their
Commitment
commitment and their commitment phobes. So it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah. Yes. Gonna be full of
Um,
fire.
Yeah, just to kind of remind everyone, they're sign of the Archer. They're at the end of the year, around November 22nd through December 21st, give or take a couple hours. They're fun. It's a commitment phobic sign, as we mentioned. I don't know. Anything else? Like they're fun. They're fun. They're fun to be around.
They're a charming
Philosophical.
bunch. They know that they're the sign who everybody gets along with all the time. I feel like I've met multiple Sagittarians growing up where they're like, I'm a Sagittarius. We're the best sign because everything I read says such fun things.
Yeah, they are ruled by
Little
Jupiter.
do
They're
they
very
know.
lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Jupiter gives them all the gifts all the time and they just trip their way into success. It's wonderful.
Yeah, with some grace, ease. Thinking about the Sagittarians that I know, which are many, they they're more like, I don't know, they just kind of float through life. They don't really have a plan, but shit seems to work out for them, you know?
Well, that's, I guess, they work really hard too. It sounds like we're kind of making everything sound easy for them. They're very meticulous and thoughtful and philosophical.
Creative, very creative sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they do. They definitely work hard. But it's amplified. They do have this like amplification part that comes
Yeah.
along with it. Great. So, on paper, we'll go through who they should be matched with. On paper, they work with the other fire signs, which we know are Leo and Aries and other Sages. Sag on Sag sounds like a hate crime, honestly. I don't that sounds like no, that's just not
It
going to
sounds
work.
like a mess.
They
Yeah,
can't
neither one of them showed up at the right time for anything.
and they didn't even have a date set because neither of them were like
Never had a
they were
date
like, what
set,
about
yeah.
this date? And then no one confirmed, and so they just kind of ghosted each other.
Yeah.
I don't even see that how that could work out.
But neither one of them is mad about it, so that's
It's
cool.
true. Neither of them is holding a grudge. So
Neither is holding a grudge. They're moving on way too fast.
yeah, I just feel like from a practicality standpoint, how would that even develop? Like they would just keep running into each other at the hottest hot spot, and that would be how that relationship forms.
The Sagittarians that I know would, if they got along with another Sag, it would because they're Sagittarian. Like their energy is so cohesive and structured for themselves that they can do it with another who is in that way. But in my experience, they're usually more messy.
And then what do we think about them with like an Aries or a Leo? I mean, I think that sounds good, fine, great.
Yeah. It sounds like I see a meme in my head of like the cast of Euphoria, like being catty, and it's in a fun way. I guess the cast of Euphoria isn't in a fun way, but
Just like burning shit down to the ground, and it sounds like
and laughing through
particularly
it.
yeah, I think like even thinking about an Aries with a Sag makes me nervous. I think it's because I am what I am, and that sounds like destruction and impulsivity. But it's probably
Also on the surface, it wouldn't seem that way. Like they would keep it to themselves. Like I feel like they would be really good at keeping this crazy side of themselves under wraps. In front of other people, they'd be like, "This is all working. I'm a professional.
this is fine." That's interesting. And I mean, I think Leo is probably fine. I think, Leo tends to want to be the center of that attention. And I think Sag can give them that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that could be a little bit fraught.
There's a little tension.
Right?
Yeah.
Even thinking about it, because I feel like the Leo needs a lot of support in that.
Yeah. I feel like the Leos need to know their place in a group. if there was like a friend group, if there was like a Mean Girls friend group of like only signs, I feel like Sagittarian might accidentally be the center of attention, like just casually because they're so fun, and Leo might get like they might get flustered by that.
Right, right. And I think Sag will, because they're so philosophical and fun and creative, that excites the Leo. But then I think when Leo's wounded in their moments, I don't know if Sag is the right
Sag is heartless in some ways. Yeah, I don't know if Sag has the heart and the patience they're gonna show up for those to moments. Adore Leo in the ways that Leo needs.
Right. I think they'll be like, sorry, I'm leaving the country. Like, I'm not going to be there for this. So I don't know. I get, that's what they're supposed to be compatible with. And then air signs. So Geminis, Aquariuses, and Libra. I see.
Sag loves all those signs, I think.
I think Sag and Libra, that's of those pairings, that stands out to me as like, that works. That sounds good. That sounds
in a
nice.
fun way. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause Libra can be really
Libra
fun.
they can be fun. They can see Sag halfway, but Sag can, I think, benefit from Libras. They like Libra see both sides of something, but Sag just likes to see all sides of everything. So they might not decide well together on a decision, but they will have fun.
They'll have fun, and Libras like to like be in the scene. You know, they like to be seen because they're so beautiful, and Sag I think is a great partner for that. You know, I think that's totally works.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, it like feels good to me, right?
I feel like Sag with Gemini is like Sag with its most evil possibilities, and Sag with Libra is with its angel possibilities or something. But both are just as fun.
Yeah. And then Aquarius, I again, it's kind of like a Sag and a Sag. A Sag and an Aquarius to me feels a little bit like Sag wants to get into the philosophical conversation with you, but then, you know, maybe they're not ready to burn the world to the ground. They're like creating kind of a new thing. They
don't want to create something like firmly grounded in reality or like an ideal that has to be a certain way.
Like, can't you see them?
Will never.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was saying, can't you see like Aquarius, like them getting into like a long conversation, right? And being like, we have to change the system. And Sag's just like going along with it and being like, totally. And then like the day of the protest comes and it's just Aquarius.
And Sag is sleeping in.
Yeah.
They're
like, oh, whoops. That's like the feeling of that for me. But I think that the like,
absolutely,
the passion, the electricity of them meeting, hot stuff, like it's good stuff.
Sure,
but then when it comes to kind of continuing that flow, I don't know. That's
you know, I'm realizing you're making me think like Aquarius is a fixed sign, Leo's a fixed sign, and these fixed signs are kind of not so great with Sagittarians, I think. Or the fixed nature. Sagittarius does not want anything fixed. They're just talking around every idea that's possible.
I love
not
how
trying to land on it.
You bring that up, right? Because I, you know, that's not part of, you know, what we're talking about here. We're saying more on the elements, fire with fire and fire with air.
Yeah.
But I like when you bring up the difference between mutable and cardinal and fixed, because that does make a big difference. Like, I mean, I'm a mutable sign, and Sages are mutable signs, and my boyfriend's a Sag, and I've always been attracted to
Sagittarius. And you have a Sagittarius rising.
And I have Sagittarius rising. Like, it's just like that can work because both of the people are flexible in the relationship.
Yes.
You know, there's a
there's a different amount of flexibility. I feel like Virgo's more like they need the details and the specifics, and Sagittarius might bring in more of like the art and like the experience. Together though, they're both flexible in their nature.
Yeah, I like that. I like what you're saying there in terms of
I do too. I've never thought of it that way.
And then with you mentioned Gemini, and like, that sounds naughty.
It sounds so like Sagittarian. If in another life that I didn't care what happened to me and my body and my friends and my loved ones, I would be a Gemini who's best friends with a Sagittarius.
It sounds good,
because we would burn the world to the ground and laugh our way through it.
It sounds good to me. It sounds nice. And they're both big talkers. They can both like really work a room. I think they
work the room.
Sounds fun to me.
It
A
does
little
sound fun.
saucy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, so that's them on paper. We lucked out because there are a lot of famous Sages and they've happened to
Makes
date
sense.
a lot. It does make sense based on everything else we've said. And they happen to date a lot of other famous people, right? Because they're kind of magnetic and they like to be out. And so the probability of them meeting somebody else with that sort of star power is there. They're not, they don't tend to be so introverted that they're never out in the scene. So
Yeah.
my first pairing that I'm going to throw at you, probably the most boring on the list, Hailey Bieber, and she's a Sag, and Justin Bieber. He's a Pisces. So on paper, bad, not a good one. How do you feel? How does that make you feel, Shawheen?
I couldn't imagine a Sagittarian with a Pisces. I'm trying to think of, I know certain people who don't get along so great with those signs. They're friends within friend groups, but I feel Pisces is very sensitive and emotional, or connected with their emotions. And Sagittarius is not connected with their emotions as directly. And I don't know. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I would love to see how that works.
I mean, it seems to be working for these two, but I think because I'm going to go back to what you were saying about being mutable. And I think Hailey Bieber is mutable to the extent that, like, she's a Nepo baby. She fucking lives in it. She knows that she's just a poster child for appropriating other cultures and making them into the clean girl aesthetic. And she just gets to, like, be married to Justin Bieber. So I think she just like makes it work no matter what it is. She makes it work. And so that's why I think that relationship works as sort of an outsider, I think maybe
Sagittarius,
in general,
when it's apart.
Yeah.
What?
I was saying, I think in general, to your point, those two signs sounds chaotic, but I think because of the mutableness, it works.
Yeah.
Okay, another fun one that again is just kind of in the ether right now because she's number one on the Billboard Hot 100 is Miley Cyrus with Flowers, which was written, she's a Sag, and it was written about Liam Hemsworth. And Liam Hemsworth is a Capricorn. Bad. Can you imagine a Sag and a Capricorn? Like, just, it doesn't sound good.
Actually, I'm conflicted by that because some of this, I know like 5 or 6 people who are born on like December 20th or something like that.
The cusp.
And they've always blended both. Yeah. Where I see them sometimes as a very Sagittarius, but serious, or they're very Capricorny and lucky.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that's
I
fun.
don't know. But but if I'm separating myself from them, I feel like Sagittarius as its own thing is, like Capricorn's direction oriented, they're goal oriented, they have something in front of them that they're trying to get to. But I was one time driving with a Sagittarius who was like, I'm not trying to go anywhere. I'm just trying to drive. And I feel like those kind of modes of transportation are in conflict.
Yeah. One thing I kind of want to put a lens on too is like not every relationship is the same. And to me, if a Capricorn, to your point, is like really fucking goal oriented, they kind of need a lot of space and independence in order to do that. And they don't need someone just like being in their way. So I kind of, I can see that working.
You just flipped my head around.
Sorry, I was just kind of thinking about it.
No,
as like,
I agree though.
One is trying to succeed and they maybe, Capricorns don't want to like invest so much time in a relationship. They're like, great, check that box. I have other shit to worry about. And a Sag doesn't really need them that much. So I kind of see it working. It did not work for these two.
I feel like Capricorns can be a little like cold and heartless, and Sag can be a little careless, and that can combine.
It
well.
works. Yeah, actually, two
together.
Negatives make a positive. Yeah. I see that working. So, unfortunately, it didn't for them. But okay, next on our list, Zoe Kravitz.
Ben and J-Lo got back together years later. You never know what the future holds.
It's true. It's
Miley,
true.
if you're listening. Sorry, who's next?
Maybe. Zoe Kravitz. And she's Sag, and she is still, I forgot that this was happening. She's with Channing Tatum, who is a Taurus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
Oh.
Exactly. None
cool.
of us know.
Represent.
Yeah.
Team Bull.
Yeah. So, yeah, as a Taurus, how do you feel about that?
I get it. I feel like Sagittarians are very attractive all the time. They always get my attention. We always bond really hard. Even if we're like, I have a coworker who he and I get along really well, and we just are nothing alike. And we love having like philosophical conversations about like all sorts of things that are inappropriate for work. But we could never, I mean, like our relationship is the way it is with boundaries in place, and we're not going to like go to hang out together. He lives in Canada. I don't know, but I feel like that's a good example. Like I've had close relationships and friendships who are Sagittarians, and we get along so well, but like at the end there's this point where like I'm a Taurus and I need things to be a certain way, and Sagittarians don't need anything to be anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's our essential difference.
I feel like it's like with these two celebrities, unexpected, and all of the original publicity around it was that he, like, Channing Tatum's style sort of evolved, because Zoe Kravitz is like obviously like cooler than he is in a lot of ways, and so that was kind of the initial publicity around it, was like that she had changed his style a little bit, made him like a little bit more of this moment instead of just kind of like a plain white dude who was in Magic Mike, you know? So
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But to your point, yeah, there may come a point where it doesn't work, but for the time being, it's kind of evolved them.
There is a magical tension, I think, between those signs. And I've always connected with it. If you can find the balance, like your rising sign, my boyfriend's rising is Sagittarius. I have tons of people with it placed in their charts. Yeah. But a whole Sag is a little bit, I might be a little full. I don't know if I have enough room.
Okay, the next one is Scarlett Johansson. She's a Sag, and her husband is Colin Jost from Saturday Night Live. He's a Cancer. Also on paper, that's a bad pairing.
Yeah.
Her ex is Ryan Reynolds, who's a Scorpio, also a bad pairing. So she just can't pick.
But it sounds like good sex.
Yeah, that actually
Scorpio and Sag sounds like a
fun time.
I'm so mad. Let's make up.
But with the Cancer like
sounds like, I don't know,
sad a little, but it's later in life, and maybe that's where she's evolved. That's what she
needs. Yeah, she's like, I need to focus on home, and someone who gets, and I feel like Cancer can give that.
Yeah, so hopefully that's working for them.
I do like them together.
Yeah, so do I.
Visually.
Yeah, he looks like a Kennedy, so it works for her. Nicki Minaj, your gal, she's a Sag.
Queen.
And then her husband, who we shall not name, is an Aries. So on paper, good. It's a good pairing.
Yeah. On reality woo-woo paper, check.
It's working. Okay, and then we're gonna head into a speed round, because we basically have the female equivalent of Pete Davidson, who's a Sag, and that's Taylor Swift. So
and by that you mean she's had relationships and encounters with many celebrities,
so many high profile. And in my research, as I was putting this together, it's just interesting. I think we've found with the last few the last couple minutes, that the quote unquote good matches for Sag, I don't know, I don't feel like they're super great. And most of her past relationships were with good on paper compatibility, and her boyfriend, who she's been with now for many years, it seems to be the right relationship for her. They're really kind of out of the spotlight together. Not a good one. So we'll kind of speed round this, but she dated Joe Jonas. He is a Leo. Technically that's a relationship that could work. Did not for them.
Even if I were just like playing God and I was like, which celebrities would I make like God playing with Barbies? I'd be like, that's the pretty one and that's the pretty one. Let's make them a couple.
They both have good hair. Yeah. Taylor Lautner is an Aquarius, also supposedly.
Who's that?
He was the one
is
of the.
Is that Blake Lively?
Kind of. A werewolf in Twilight, pretty much is the only reason.
I remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Mayer, not good. Or yeah, actually no, good. John Mayer is a Libra, and that was supposed to be a good match for her too.
That sounds like a perfect match. Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal was a Sag, a fellow Sag on Sag hate crime. Also on paper, good, not good for them. Connor Kennedy, she dated one of the Kennedy offspring for a little bit there. He's a Leo, also good on paper, didn't work out. Harry Styles, an Aquarius, another good on paper, didn't work out. The only one that's of the bunch that was a bad match, and it seemed the most volatile, was her with Calvin Harris. Calvin Harris is a Capricorn, even though we have come to the point where we're like, oh, that sounds like it could work.
Yeah,
no.
you can justify it.
It
no,
didn't.
Okay. Why was it? Did you say it was volatile? How?
They just were he was really rude to her towards the end. I think there were like some tweets and he didn't want to give her credit for, she wrote or co-wrote, one of his tracks with Rihanna and he didn't want to give her credit for it. It was like weird. And that was like one of his most successful songs ever. And I don't know, it's just a weird situation. And then she left him for Tom Hiddleston, who was an Aquarius, supposedly good, but that was kind of short-lived, and I'm not sure that was a real relationship, if I'm gonna be honest.
I don't remember if it was like last year or like 5 years ago when she released her Netflix documentary, but at the end of it she was like alluding to being in a relationship with someone. Did we ever uncover who that was?
Well, and that's with who she's with now. So Joe Alwyn, British actor, he's a Pisces. So, and they've been together for like 5 years, but very quietly. And he just kind of does serious roles, and she writes all her songs that have like are about England, like London Boy and like the English country. They're about him because he's British. And
that's so interesting because we didn't see it working. And out of
Seems to be
all,
working
like
for
Taylor
her.
Swift is our baseline of what someone would date with all the signs, and now it's working with the Pisces, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I think people
I have more to learn.
Yeah, who've gone through, well, and that's the Scarlett Johansson, that's the Hailey Bieber, Justin Bieber. Like, after you've gone through like a big moment, maybe you can make it work with a Sag. Like, you've gone through the heartbreak, you can now kind of adapt to this. So yeah,